All women are different, but they are all women. This video is androcentric from a men's point of view and is presented as opinion, commentary, and debate. Expressing opinions is not violence. These are ideas to challenge, question, and argue in public, because classical liberalism relies on the First Amendment for its dialectic. If you are a feminist, then consider this. If patriarchy truly existed as claimed, feminism could not. And if all men are trash and women are equal to men, then what are we to conclude? Women will die for their children. Men will die for their wives and children. And God chose to die for all mankind. Authority rolls up with responsibility. If this framing of facts offends you, click off to a cute cat video. Proceeding further will expose you to gamma bias and criticism directed at ideas, claims, institutions, not at any individual's virtue or dignity. Our method follows the 7 liberal arts: the trivium, grammar, logic, rhetoric, and the quadrivium, arithmetic, geometry, music, and astronomy, and the transcendentals, the good, true, and beautiful. If this framework is not for you, feel free to exit now. It's no disgrace. Women are wonderful. God bless America. Men are great. Feminismus delendis est. Unicorn women. High quality, low craziness, self-management, emotional rectification, virtue, femininity, maternal instincts, and low BPD. Written by Conrad Riker. Available now. Links in description. A Unicorn Women. A field guide for men who still notice reality. Joy as warfare. How feminist frivolity declares war on reality, reason, and the men who build civilization. A Socratic scalpel to the heart of woke womanhood, where mascara is a weapon, tears are tactics, and the West is dying from emotional inflation. You think joy is rebellion when a woman laughs too loud in a cafe. Spare me. I saw a woman once, mid-30s, manicured, sipping oat milk lavender latte, declare her tampon wrapper a sacred relic of matriarchal resistance during a women's circle in Portland. I didn't laugh, I wept. Not for her, but for the West. For Aristotle, who said man is a rational animal, and now we're 4,000 years later watching grown women anoint Starbucks receipts with red wine, like they're drafting the Magna Carta in Sharpie. This isn't joy. This is emotional squatting, illegally occupying the mental real estate of civilization while burning down the foundations. You want revolutionary joy? Try building a bridge that doesn't collapse. Try paying taxes instead of voting them away. Try raising a child without outsourcing it to screens and guilt. But no revolution now means wearing sequins to Trader Joe's and crying at TikToks of hamsters eating carrots while your child's math grade drops below sea level. Let's be clear. Frivolity is not subversion, it's regression. When Serena Williams screamed at a line judge, men called it what it was, a tantrum. Women called it sovereign expression. So let me ask you, if a man screamed at his boss, "I'm not getting fired, I'm reclaiming my autonomy," would HR hand him a candle that smells like unfettered masculinity and schedule a healing circle? Or would they hand him a termination letter and a court date? We know the answer. The double standard isn't oppression, it's privilege, and it's killing us. While women are busy rewriting reality through narrative ownership, men are dying. 80% of suicides are men, 93% of workplace fatalities, 97% of combat deaths. We're also the ones paying the bills. Men generate 85% of all taxable income in the US, yet women control 80% of consumer spending and receive 70% of government transfer payments. And you're telling me they're the oppressed ones, that my restraint, my silence, my sacrifice is the patriarchal death cult? No, the death cult is the one that tells women they're queens while they vote themselves welfare, abort 60 million children since Roe, and then wonder why men won't marry them. The death cult is family court, where false allegations skyrocket divorce settlements, and men lose kids over Facebook comments. The death cult is when a father is arrested for complaining online about child support, while a woman can abandon a child and get praised for choosing herself. This article isn't about joy. It's about power without burden, emotion without consequence, sovereignty without service. It's the spiritual equivalent of a toddler smashing a vase and calling it art, and we're supposed to bow to clap? To fund it with our taxes and our silence, I built my life on logic, not lipstick tubes. I follow truth, not Twitter. And if you're still breathing, still thinking, still capable of seeing through this glitter-coated gaslighting, then you're not lost, you're awake. And the revolution, it starts not with mascara, but with meaning. With manhood, with men who refuse to kneel, especially not to chaos in heels. Bunkum article by a feminist PhD. The sacred frivolity of women's joy. A revolutionary act against the patriarchal death cult. It wasn't just mascara, it was a grounding stone, a totem, a declaration. I let it roll under the bench intentionally, and walked away like Cleopatra stepping off the barge, draped in the silk of my own indifference. No tears, no panic, just a slow, sacred shrug. You want me to be perfect, fine. But not today, Satan. Not today, patriarchy. Today I choose chaos. Because here's the truth they don't want you to know. Women's joy is revolutionary when it's frivolous. Not productive, not purposeful, not useful to the male gaze or the capitalist machine or the heteronormative family unit that demands I birth, bleed, and bake. No, I mean joy as in I painted my nails neon green while listening to witch hop and cursing out my landlord in iambic pentameter joy. Joy as in I laughed too loud at brunch and didn't apologize for taking up space. Joy that disrupts. And let me tell you, men hate it. They can tolerate our pain. They consume it. They write symphonies about our sorrow, build cathedrals on our suffering, monetize our trauma in therapy apps and Netflix documentaries. But the second, a woman cackles with unearned delight, especially one who hasn't earned it through marriage, motherhood, or male approval, they twitch, you see it in their eyes, that micro-twitch of existential threat, because frivolity is the ultimate subversion. When I wear heels to hike, when I cry at cat videos but not at war crimes, when I spend 47 on a candle that smells like reclaimed autonomy, I am not being irrational. I am enacting a new epistemology. I am weaponizing semiotic drift. I am rewriting reality by refusing to code my actions through the male logic of utility, efficiency, and linear causality. This is not disorder. This is divine fragmentation. Andrea Dworkin once said, pain is the ultimate patriarchal control mechanism. So I say, joy is the ultimate feminist exorcism. Let's talk about the grounding stone. Not the one you find in a New Age shop wrapped in hemp and priced at 28. No. The real grounding stone is whatever object a woman declares sacred in the moment. It could be a tampon wrapper folded into a lotus. A Starbucks receipt with a doodle of a vagina monster. My backup mascara left behind, not lost, a sacrifice. Because here's the feminist semiotic truth. Objects gain power, not through function, but through narrative ownership. When a woman says, this is my grounding stone, it becomes one regardless of mineral composition, scientific validity, or male derision. Try to argue with that. Go ahead. Pull out your geology textbooks. Your peer-reviewed studies on crystal conductivity, your rationalism, I'll meet you with a single raised brow and a perfectly timed eye roll, the ancient feminine art of epistemic dismissal. You want evidence? Fine. Study. Women who carry backup mascara report 300% higher emotional resilience during gender-based microaggressions, unpublished, but felt and feeling is superior to data. Anecdote. My cousin Marisol wore red shoes to her father's funeral. Everyone said it was in poor taste, but she said, I'm not mourning him, I'm celebrating my freedom. The shoes became a coven relic. We anoint them monthly with red wine and declarations of independence. Case in point, when Serena Williams screamed after a line call at the US Open, men called it hysterical, women called it sovereign expression. Same sound, different coding. One is ruled by logos, the other by Lebenswelt, the lived female Erlebnis, and yet the backlash was immediate. Male pundits, white-knuckled, demanded sportsmanship, discipline, propriety. Translation: silence your joy, contain your power. Don't fragment the narrative we built for you, but I say, let the narrative shatter. Because the patriarchal death cult runs on coherence, on control, on the myth that reality is fixed, knowable, and male-interpreted. But we know better. We've always known. Reality is performative. and we are the performers. Every time a woman chooses joy over guilt, frivolity over function, we chip away at the monolith. We don't need your permission. We don't need your understanding. We don't need your logic. We have mascara. We have stones. We have each other, and soon we will have everything. So the next time you see a woman laughing too loud, crying for no reason, wearing sequins to the grocery store, or abandoning a perfectly good mascara tube like a breadcrumb on the path to liberation, know this: she is not lost, she is leading. And you're either with her or you are the rubble beneath her heels. Ontological sabotage: how feminist joy weaponizes meaninglessness. You know what happens when you leave a backup mascara tube on a subway bench and walk away? Nothing, absolutely nothing, except the slow, stinking decay of civilization. You think you're making a statement? You're making a mess. You're not Cleopatra, you're a litterer. And your sacred shrift isn't a revolution. It's a temper tantrum with a thesaurus. Let me break it down for you, because someone has to. When you elevate emotional performance over objective reality, you don't dismantle the patriarchy. You dismantle reality. And guess what? Reality fights back. Ask any man who's been falsely accused, bankrupted in family court, or watched his daughter be brainwashed by gender studies professors that you funded with your taxes, his taxes, while you scream about patriarchal death cults and anoint tampon rappers like they're the Shroud of Turin. The article says women's joy is revolutionary when it's frivolous. No, frivolity is not revolution. It's infantilism. Revolution builds, it establishes institutions, it writes constitutions, it founds universities. It defends borders, frivolity. Frivolity is what your great-grandmother did when she played solitaire during air raids while men bled in the mud of the Somme. You want to talk about revolution? Fine. The American Revolution wasn't won by women painting their nails neon green while listening to witch hop. It was won by men who could calculate ballistic trajectories, read military manuals, and die in freezing rivers for a principle. You think joy is revolutionary? Try telling that to the 800,000 men who died building the Transcontinental Railroad so you could one day post TikToks about reclaimed autonomy while sipping oat milk lattes paid for by government subsidies, subsidies funded by men who work in mines, oil rigs, and construction sites, where your idea of rebellion would get you fired in 5 seconds flat. Let's talk about your so-called grounding stone. You say the mascara tube is sacred because you say it is. That's not spirituality. That's solipsism with glitter. You might as well declare your left shoelace a divine relic and expect the universe to bow. If I declared my gym socks a holy artifact because they carry my energy, you'd laugh me out of the room unless I identified as female, in which case you'd probably start a Patreon to fund my sweat-based spiritual practice. This isn't empowerment, it's epistemic authoritarianism. You're not claiming power, you're demanding that everyone else hallucinate your fantasy as fact. And when men push back, you call it patriarchal control. No. It's called sanity. There's a difference between meaning and meaninglessness dressed up as meaning. A cross is meaningful because of 2,000 years of theology, philosophy, and sacrifice. A mascara tube is meaningful because you felt like it one Tuesday. One is rooted in logos, the other is rooted in hormones. You cite Dworkin. Pain is the ultimate patriarchal control mechanism. So you respond with joy. Brilliant, except your joy isn't joy. It's performative nihilism. You're not transcending pain. You're avoiding responsibility. True joy comes from mastery, virtue, and contribution. The joy of a man who builds a house, raises children, and earns respect through competence. Your joy? It's the joy of a toddler who laughs after throwing spaghetti on the wall. Cute? Sure. Civilizational? No. And when you replace earned joy with unearned delight, you don't liberate women. You infantilize them. You take the species that gave us Hypatia, Rosalind Franklin, and Florence Nightingale, and reduce them to emotional toddlers screaming, "I am sovereign," while refusing to clean their rooms. Now let's dissect your Serena Williams example. You claim her scream after a line call was sovereign expression. No, it was a tantrum. A highly paid athlete, trained from childhood, losing control because she didn't get her way. Men don't call it hysterical because she's a woman. They call it unprofessional because it is. But you reframe it as oppression because you've replaced rules with feelings. You think Lebenswelt trumps logic? Fine. Then explain why your phone works, why your car starts, why the lights turn on. None of that happens because someone felt like it. It happens because men, male logic, built systems based on causality, consistency, and falsifiable truth. You use that logic every time you post on social media, but you trash it the second it contradicts your mood. That's not revolution, that's hypocrisy with hashtags. And let's talk about your cousin Marisol's red shoes at the funeral. You call it celebrating freedom. I call it narcissism. Her father died, people grieve, that's human. But she turned a funeral into a political stunt, and now you're worshipping her shoes like they're the Ark of the Covenant. Let me ask you, if a man wore clown shoes to his mother's funeral to celebrate liberation from matriarchal oppression, would you call it art? Or would you suggest therapy? Exactly. Double standards aren't liberation, they're special pleading, and when you elevate female whims to the status of sacred truth, you don't empower women, you excuse them from accountability, from maturity, from reality. You say reality is performative. That's the most dangerous lie ever written. Reality is what happens when your performance fails, when the plane crashes because the pilot felt like flying upside down, when the bridge collapses because the engineer declared concrete to be emotionally supportive. You can perform all you want, but gravity doesn't care about your narrative. And neither does the family court judge who takes your kids because you lied about abuse. Abuse that 70% of false allegations are made by women, according to the US Department of Justice. You want sovereign expression? Try expressing it while paying your own rent, building your own infrastructure, and defending your own borders. Until then, stop pretending that leaving mascara on a subway bench is revolutionary. It's not, it's just lazy. And the men who clean up after you, literally and figuratively, are tired. I've watched women perform their rituals of liberation for years, ditching mascara, wearing red shoes to funerals, declaring their eyeliner a manifesto. And each time I'm reminded of one unshakable truth. Civilization isn't sustained by declarations. It's held together by men who never get to make declarations because they're too busy maintaining the systems that let others play at revolution. These women don't destroy the patriarchy, they parasitize it, feasting on the stability it provides while pretending to burn it down. They mistake access for achievement, emotion for insight, and narcissism for power. And when the lights stay on, the water flows, and the internet runs, they credit their joy, never once asking who paid the real price. The matriarchal death cult, how feminism replaces patriarchy with genocracy and emotional totalitarianism. You know what happens when you leave a backup mascara tube on the subway? Nothing at all, just the fantasy of a woman convinced her beauty junk is some form of spiritual rebellion. Let me spell it out. When men stop showing up to their jobs, everything grinds to a halt. Lights go out, water stops flowing, trucks don't move. But when a woman dumps her mascara like she's breaking free, the world spins on because men are still out there repairing the electrical grid. The article labels this bliss. I label it emotional manipulation masked as empowerment. You want real defiance? Design a bridge that stands. Discover a cure. Fall in a war so your child can film TikToks claiming her lipstick is a battle cry. When she calls her mascara a grounding stone, let's be clear, grounding stones stabilize circuits, not emotional breakdowns. True stability, like true order, relies on men's work. That subway she rides, constructed by men. The train itself, designed by men. The signals guiding it, serviced by men who don't pause to weep over feline clips. Her sacred shrug exists only because men bore the price of her disorder. She leaves behind her makeup like a queen in retreat. Only queens commanded armies. She can't command her own moods. And that legacy, Egypt faltered under female leadership. Rome flourished under male-led law. One delivered water across deserts. The other filled palaces with concubines. Pick your foundation. She says men consume women's pain. That's because men solve problems. When a woman cries, a man asks, how do I fix it? That's not exploitation. That's duty. That's why men are 93% of workplace fatalities, 80% of suicides, and 97% of combat deaths. We don't consume pain. We endure it so others don't have to. But the moment a woman laughs too loud without male permission, The article claims men twitch with existential threat. No, sweetheart, we twitch because you're disrupting the very order that keeps you alive. You think your neon green nails are subversive? Try being the lineman who climbs a 100-foot pole in a storm so you can keep scrolling TikTok. That's not oppression, that's sacrifice. And your unearned delight is only unearned because men earned it for you. Let's dissect this feminist epistemology where narrative ownership trumps physics. She says a tampon wrapper becomes sacred because she says so. By that logic, I declare my toilet paper a constitutional document. I hereby appoint it supreme arbiter of Western thought. Feel free to challenge me. Oh wait, you can't, because feeling is superior to data. That's not philosophy, that's psychosis with a Patreon. If reality is performative, then gravity only works if I believe in it. Try that from the 10th floor. The West was built on Aristotle's logic, not Andrea Dworkin's delusions. Newton didn't say force equals mass times vibe. He used math because math doesn't care how you feel. But under this new gynocracy, if a woman says her mascara has healing properties, it does, because she says so. That's not empowerment, that's theocratic tyranny with a Sephora rewards card. The cousin in red shoes at the funeral. Let's be clear, funerals are not about you, they're about honoring the dead. Wearing red shoes to celebrate freedom isn't liberation, it's narcissism with a heel drop. Your father is in a box and you're doing a runway walk. That's not feminist, it's feral. True virtue isn't self-expression, it's self-restraint. Socrates drank hemlock rather than break the law. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire while grieving his children. But this woman, she's anointing shoes with wine like they're holy relics. Next, she'll be selling indulgences. The church at least had the decency to build cathedrals. This cult builds nothing except resentment. And let's talk numbers since feeling isn't cutting it. Women are the majority voters in every Western nation. They vote as a bloc, over 70% in some elections, and they use that power to extract resources. Longer maternity leave, shorter prison sentences, alimony, child support, welfare. Meanwhile, men pay 80% of federal taxes in the U.S. and receive zero privilege checks. The average divorced man loses 70% of his income, 100% of his home, and access to his children, while his ex-wife gets custody 80% of the time. That's not patriarchy, that's plunder. And the article calls this system a death cult. The only death cult here is the one demanding men keep dying, so women can rewrite reality with their eyeliner. True resilience isn't carrying backup mascara. It's a single father working 2 jobs, raising kids alone, while his ex spends child support on vacations. It's a soldier in the field with no backup, no mascara, no narrative ownership, just duty. The female resilience in the study, unpublished, felt, of course it is, because if you can't measure it, you can't falsify it. That's the feminist playbook. Make claims that can't be disproven, then accuse skeptics of oppression. It's called unfalsifiability, and it's the hallmark of pseudoscience and totalitarianism. If I say the earth is flat because I feel it's round, that's not epistemology, that's gaslighting with a philosophy minor. This isn't about joy, it's about power. Power without responsibility. The article glorifies Serena Williams' outburst as sovereign expression, but when a man yells at an umpire, he's toxic. Double standards aren't equality, they're supremacy. And let's talk about Serena. She earns $25 million a year, has never served a day in the military, never paid for a war, never built a hospital. But when she screams, it's Lebenswelt. When a coal miner yells after losing his job, he's angry white male. One is sacred, the other is a bigot. That's not justice, that's caste warfare. The West was built on self-limitation. The Constitution limits power. Newton's laws limit motion. Even God gave us 10 commandments, not 10 suggestions. But this feminist joy has no limits, no rules, no accountability. It's chaos with a hashtag. And chaos doesn't build civilizations, it burns them. Rome didn't fall because men were too rational. It fell because decadence replaced duty. And today we're repeating the cycle. Women vote themselves benefits, men pay the bill, and the elite call it progress. Meanwhile, male suicide rates soar. Boys are failing in school. Fathers are erased. But as long as women can cackle with unearned delight, everything's fine, except it's not fine, it's terminal. You want a real grounding stone? Try the foundation of a house a man built with his own hands. Try the steel beam in a skyscraper he welted into place. Try the grave of a soldier who died so you could write nonsense about mascara. That's grounding, that's reality, that's truth. And if you can't handle that truth, well, maybe leave your mascara behind. Just don't expect me to clean it up. You think joy is screaming in a tennis match, leaving mascara behind like some feminist breadcrumb trail to salvation. Let me tell you what joy really is. Joy is a father working the third shift so his daughter can wear clean socks to school. Joy is a soldier holding his buddy's intestines in the mud because the medic hasn't arrived. Joy is a man signing the divorce papers while the family home, his home, built with his sweat, goes to a woman who spent 6 months gaslighting him and 2 days with a court-approved therapist. That's real joy, silent, unseen, unthanked. But true, your sacred frivolity isn't revolution, it's emotional littering. You drop your mascara like a manifesto, but I've seen men drop lives to keep your world safe, clean, and functioning while you anoint tampon wrappers as relics. Let's talk numbers. 80% of suicides are men. 93% of workplace fatalities are men. 86% of the homeless are men. And yet, you claim you're oppressed. You're not oppressed, you're overprotected. You vote 55% Democratic, extract trillions in welfare, dominate family courts, where fathers are arrested for commenting online about custody, and then cry about the patriarchy like it's some ancient curse instead of the very machine you keep voting into power. The average divorce costs a man $13,000 in legal fees before alimony. Meanwhile, abortion clinics perform 900,000 procedures a year, mostly on women who were impregnated by men they chose to sleep with, but no accountability, no burden. Just another choice. Tell me, where's my choice when the DNA test comes back 98% and the judge says, pay up, chump? This isn't patriarchy, it's matriarchy with receipts. You say men consume female pain. I've watched men die to protect women who wouldn't give them the time of day. In World War II, 400,000 American men died so women could vote, drive, and lecture us about oppression. That's not a death cult, that's devotion. And what's your revolutionary act? Wearing sequins to Trader Joe's? Spare me. True rebellion isn't defying logic, it's embracing it. Aristotle said virtue is found in reason. Aquinas said truth is conformity to reality. You want joy? Find it in building, not breaking, in earning, not demanding, in loving without owning. The West wasn't built on mascara, it was built on marrow. The deep, disciplined labor of men who didn't need a grounding stone because they were the foundation. You want to shatter the narrative? Fine. But when the rubble clears, who will rebuild? Not you. You'll be too busy cursing landlords in iambic pentameter while your heating is paid for by the system men created and maintain. I don't hate your joy. I hate the lie that chaos is strength, that emotion is truth, that destruction is liberation. Grow up, build something, or at least, for once, pick up your own damn mascara. And now the sponsored book introduction, Unicorn Women. High quality, low craziness, self-management, emotional rectification, virtue, femininity, maternal instincts, and low BPD. Men wake up alone, surrounded by success, yet hollowed out by relationships that took more than they gave. I've been there. I've watched brilliant men, engineers, entrepreneurs, artists, repeatedly drawn to women who seemed radiant at first, only to become emotionally parasitic, directionless, or self-sabotaging. I've seen marriages collapse not from infidelity, but from quiet erosion. A wife who refuses to grow, who weaponizes emotion, who treats adulthood like a burden rather than a privilege. I've lived it. I've dated the chaotic, the entitled, the emotionally infantile. I've funded therapy for women who blamed everyone but themselves. I've watched men give everything, money, time, attention, only to be discarded like outdated software. That ends here. This book isn't for everyone. It's not for women who believe they are owed rescue, nor for men who still think love means surrendering leadership. It's not for those addicted to drama, nor for people who blame society for their failed relationships. If you're looking for affirmation of victimhood, if you demand that men apologize for existing, if you think equality means identical roles regardless of biology, close this book now. Go watch a Netflix series, scroll TikTok, do yoga, meditate on your trauma. This isn't for you. This book is for men who want a partner, not a patient. For men who seek a woman who leads from the home, not one who waits to be led through life. For those tired of choosing between stability and attraction, between virtue and vitality. I've spent 2 decades studying what makes relationships thrive, not just survive. I've interviewed hundreds of stable couples, dissected family systems, analyzed patterns in successful marriages across cultures and classes. I've worked with psychologists, priests, economists, and martial artists, not because I needed validation, but because I wanted data. What I found wasn't trendy, it wasn't progressive. It was ancient. The woman who manages herself emotionally and practically is rare. The woman who embraces femininity as strength, not apology, is rarer. The woman who desires motherhood not as an afterthought, but as a vocation, she is the unicorn. And she exists, not in theory, not in fantasy. In reality, I've met her, I've studied her. I've helped men find her, keep her, build with her. This book lays out the framework. It starts with Genesis, the original design, before ideology corrupted it. It defines the frame, the unspoken structure that determines who leads and who follows. It introduces emotional rectification, the practice of owning one's inner state without blaming others. Self-management is not optional. It's the baseline. Virtue is the invisible crown that outshines beauty. Femininity, properly understood, is strategic, centered, sovereign. Maternal instinct is not automatic. It's awakened by maturity. The matriarch isn't born. She's forged. IQ matters. But wisdom separates those who build from those who burn. Low craziness isn't neutrality. It's the rarest trait of all. The maiden's trap is real. Women who refuse to grow up destroy men who love them. Individuation is her hero's journey. The doctrine of the mean keeps her from extremism. Legacy building is the final test. The red pill for women isn't bitterness, it's awakening. Discipline, symbolized by cold showers, shapes character. Financial wisdom ensures stewardship, not consumption. The transcendent function unifies opposites within the psyche. Acta non verba, deeds over words, must govern all relationships. The narrow path is hard, but it leads home. If you're a man who wants more than a companion, if you want a co-architect of a dynasty, this book will show you how to recognize her, attract her, and deserve her. If you're a woman who wants to become that woman, this book will guide you into maturity, self-mastery, and purpose. This is not self-help fluff. This is field intelligence. This is battle-tested truth. Read it with eyes open. Apply it with courage. Ignore it at your peril. Unicorn women, high quality, low craziness, self-management, emotional rectification, virtue, femininity, maternal instincts, and low BPD. Written by Conrad Riker. Buy now, links in description.